not a competition of who's better. This is not a this guy is better than this guy. This is a you're at the park. You got a chance to pick this dude or this dude. And this week we're gonna go with, and I struggle with this one, but I like the comp. You got Giannis on one end, you got Dirk Nowitzki on the other end. Who you picking? Go.
Dirk came in a little more offensively polished than Giannis. Hence why if I'm building a franchise, I got a guy I don't have to do as much with offensively. I just have to build him up defensively. But if I'm coming in at their top peak, I mean, Giannis was the 2-time league MVP, DPOY candidate every year, in and out, 30 and 15 and 5 sometimes.
That's where you would go with this.
That's hard. It's hard to get off of that and be like, oh, because he can't shoot. So, you know what? At peak prime, I'm going to take Giannis just because he impacts both ends of the floor. Yes, Dirk was a miser offensively, unguardable with that post fade, the leg kick. But I know that if I need a stop down, Dirk's probably not getting me that tough rebound unless he's already at the rim.
All of those things are great points. And everyone knows I love Giannis. Everyone knows that Giannis is my guy. I can't go away from Giannis. I'm a big Giannis fan. But when I put this together and I compare the two and I look at what player offers you what, the thing about Dirk is that 2011 NBA championship. And it doesn't do him justice. In the first round, he beat a guy that you just talked about in Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge in Portland. But in the second round, he swept the defending champion.
The late show. Yep, I remember. I never heard the end of it.
Yeah. A Kobe Gasol-led team. But in the third round, he beat a team that was supposed to be headed uninterrupted to an NBA title, which never came to fruition, in the Oklahoma City Thunder in 5 games. And then his gift to the finals was a Miami Heat team with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Eric Spoelstra, Chris Bosh. And he annihilated.
I love how you put Eric Spoelstra in there before Chris Bosh, like he actually made a play on the floor.
That title run for me is one of the impressive title runs in sports. Because you're talking about a guy in Brandon Roy that from top to bottom people look at as one of the what-if stories in the NBA. And at that time was one of the top. You look at Kobe and Gasol and the Lakers, enough said. You don't need, but you consider what Durant, Westbrook, and Harden were at that point in their career. Because the following year, they went to the finals.
Yeah.
Durant was
the baby Thunder
favorite player.
Of course he was.
And LeBron was at that point the best player in the NBA. Then Wade was a champion. Bosh was one of the best power forwards in the game. And Spoelstra was one of the best coaches. And nobody could stop them. Dallas was never a team that won. In fact, they were known as a cocaine capital of the NBA with Roy Tarpley and all their issues. They weren't a winning team. So he created the culture. He established the winning tradition and then won a championship. 14-time NBA All-Star. Think about that. 14 times. Giannis is still going. He'll probably get close to 14, but 14 times. But that really doesn't define Dirk as a player. The championship, and one more point, and I'll throw it back to you, is why I would take Dirk over Giannis. And I love Giannis. Not a slight on Giannis. But Garnett, Hall. Weber, Hall. Duncan, Hall. Gasol, Hall. Malone, Hall. That's what Dirk went in against night in and night out in just this conference. Even the B-list team, LaMarcus Aldridge. The B-list team, Carmelo Anthony, Young Melo, Stoudemire. Those were the guys Dirk went up against night in and night out. It's just Western Conference forwards. Giannis doesn't have that. Giannis doesn't have those barriers, those obstacles. Giannis is out here losing to Trevor Ariza, the Trevor Ariza-led Miami Heat. Like, bam, quite frankly, Giannis, last couple of years in the playoffs, his team hasn't done anything. He's too young for that. Dirk played in an era where the bigs roamed the NBA, and he was one of the biggest players. He beat guys, like I said, that were first ballot Hall of Famers. I can't. DeAndre Ayton was the big that Giannis beat to win a title. Like, you gotta consider that. You gotta consider it. And that's not a slight on Giannis. Those are facts. I love Giannis as a player, love his game, love his tenacity. But if I'm picking a franchise, And Dirk's not the rebounder that Giannis is. He's not the defender that Giannis is. But he's the winner that Giannis isn't. And that's why I'm going with Dirk. That's why I'm going with Dirk. Floor is yours.
All right, so that last sentence is probably what surmised your argument because you're right. He's not the rebounder. He's not the defender, but he is a winner. But the one thing I always say is, whenever we talk about winning and we equate it to particularly basketball players, we always make it seem like winning trumps everything. I mean, Bill Russell's the winningest player of all time. Bill Russell shot 40% and never took a shot outside of 8 feet from the basket. How do you shoot 40% from the field when you're playing less than 8 feet from the hoop all times? But do we consider Bill Russell a greatest winner? Absolutely. Do we consider a greatest player? No. And we don't, because while it's great to be able, while it's great to be able to have the winning, you also have to have stats and numbers behind it. What helps Dirk is the fact that he took a team that wasn't supposed to be able to win, and he elevated them to winning on that gauntlet run that he did that year. But he had a good team, a supporting cast around him. Jason the Jet. He also had Sean Marion and the boys. I mean, he had a good roster. He wasn't out there running around like LeBron with, guys like Damon Jones and Boopie Gibson and all these other people. And I was like, come on, like a bunch of cast characters, Zadrunas Ilgauskas, come on. Like, he had real players that could play that were all-stars that gave him some reputable pieces that he could go into battle with. Was he expected to win that finals? No, he came in. I think that was the one of the first finals that LeBron lost, where he was favored to win. They were heavily favored to win. All the action was on Miami in that series, and to get beat up the way that they did really spoke to how great Dallas was that year. But again, if we're building a franchise, I still don't know how the rest of Giannis' career projects out. I know what Dirk's is. For all that winning that Dirk had, he only got one title, so he's a great winner for 1 year. Listen, Joe Flacco won one Super Bowl. Do we consider Joe Flacco a top-tier quarterback of all time? No, we don't. He had good stats, but he only won one Super Bowl, okay? So what I'm saying is, while as great as Dirk is, as great as his accolades are, he had a wonderful career, one of the greatest offensive seven-footers we've ever seen in basketball, definitely greatest European-born player we've ever had in basketball, and Joker may have something to say about that by the time he's done. But the point I'm making is I'm going to go Giannis because he impacts both ends of the floor, and he can still continue to develop his offensive game. His career is not over. He's got maybe 4 or 5 years left at a decent, skill set, decent level, before he'll start to taper off on the back end of his career, and he can still win. The fact that, he's in a position where he gets to kind of call his shot this year over the next 2 years is going to really kind of dictate what happens for him. I just think that Giannis, even at this point, would still have more upside than Dirk. We knew what Dirk was by like year 4 because he was the same way the rest of his career. Giannis, we still can see him continue to evolve. Oh, yeah.
Dirk played in two NBA finals. Giannis has played in 1. But going back to the winning, going back to the argument about, Jason Kidd, twilight of his career. Jason Terry, stop it. Stop with Jason Terry. Stop it with Sean Marion. Sean Marion at that point, I want to say wasn't even an all-star. I think he was a 15 and maybe 8 guy. And that was the second team that he had taken to an NBA Finals. Don't forget about the Josh Howard boys. Don't forget about that roster. You know what I mean? Where he was able to do the things with JJ Barrera. Like, nah, man.
I like JJ Barrera.
Dirk was a monster. And Giannis is a monster. The difference between the two, and the reason you said Giannis' game is still developing, that's the problem. Giannis has had talent on that team. The fact that he is still trying to figure it out, and I don't want to say problem. That's that. Let me take that away. That's the difference. I think that with Giannis's game is his game. I don't believe Giannis's game is still developing. I think that Giannis's game has come back. He's adding a little bit more to it. So I guess in that light, you could say it's developing. But when the book is up on Giannis, this player that we have right now, that's who we're going to have. I don't think he's going to become a jump shooter. I don't think he's going to become a 30% three-point shooter. The fadeaway one foot fadeaway that he stole from Dirk, I think he'll pull that out of his bag from time to time. But Giannis is always going to be 100 miles per hour going forward. The reason why I go with Dirk, not just the winning aspect, but the fact that with Dirk, you're getting a guy that is going to lead his team. He's going to hold guys accountable at a level Giannis doesn't do that.
You don't think Giannis holds them guys accountable? Yes, he does.
No,
He's done it publicly and privately. Hey, we're not good enough. We need guys to do this, that, and the third. And people have played with him and said, Pat Bev came out and said, listen, Giannis cares, man. He said, when you
I didn't
see
say he
him,
didn't
like,
care. I didn't say he didn't care.
no, but what I mean is typically they equate guys that lead with guys with the ability to actually show that the game matters to them and step up. That's why they don't like Harden, because Harden act like he don't care 90% of the time. But Giannis cares. He will get in there and say, hey, listen, my man, you need to run harder. You need to do it. And then he leads by example. He's always the first person in the gym and the last one out.
But he's the same
You
dude that
think,
goes to a podium and says, if we don't win, is that a bad season? Yes. Yes.
I think he was
And that's
frustrated.
Giannis.
Everybody's allowed. So one seeds happen all the time where they come in and they get upset.
You change your lanes on me. You change your lanes on me. Come back to my lane. The dude got on the podium and said, and gave an articulate, very well-defined explanation of why he didn't believe the season was a failure. And that's the difference between the two. Every year, Dallas didn't win a title in Dirk's eyes, the season was a failure. Every year, Milwaukee doesn't win a title in Giannis's eyes, we gave our best effort. And that's not a knock on Giannis. It's not a negative personality trait. It's just not the personality trait I want in the guy that I'm putting on my franchise. It's the Allen Iverson mindset. I want the Kobe Bryant mindset. There's nothing wrong. It's the Tim Duncan, it's the Kevin Garnett mindset, and I want the Tim Duncan mindset. Make sense? That's the difference between the two. And again, I still love Giannis. This is not a knock on Giannis. Just like Kevin Durant is a tremendous player. It's just give me Dr. J and his titles and his ability to lead, and give me Dirk and his passion and his ability to win over those two players. I'll give you the final word.
I don't disagree with your argument or your premise or your notion. Do I think you can go wrong with either player? No. For me, I like my guys to play both sides of the ball. I don't like guys to only play one side. That's just me. No matter how elite or great they are at one thing, I like them to at least show that while they score 30, they're not going to turn around and give up 30. So that's the only thing that separates the two for me. You can't go wrong with either one. Both guys are going to be guys that impact your franchise for the next decade. Both are going to have your team in championship consideration every single season. And they're both going to give you maximum effort, which is all you can ask for. They're not going to take games off with a hangnail or a headache. They're going to play through and they always give you 100%. So, I mean, listen, I get it. I like Dirk. I like Dirk a lot. But like I said, my preference is Giannis just because of the reasons I mentioned.
Well, I said I give you the final word. I lied. I'll take a guy. He doesn't have to. He plays. Both guys play both ends of the spectrum. They both play both ends of the court. As long as my guy competes on defense, I'm good with it. I'm fine with it. And that's why I like Luka. That's why I like Dirk. That's why we like Gasol. That's why we like Joker. Are they great defenders? No. But damn if they're not going to compete on the defensive end. And I'll take that.